So you want to write a book, and in said book you want to showcase a toxic and or abusive relationship. You want to convey how not to handle a romantic relationship, or any relationship in general. But you're worried about accidentally miscommunicating to your audience and being accused of normalizing unhealthy relationships. Well, fret not, cause I'm here to tell you the basic shit you need to know to purposefully write a horrible relationship without people tossing you into the bin of trashy YA. First off, let's break down what toxic and abusive relationships are. Toxic indicates that when the people involved clash, it ain't pretty. There's insults, passive-aggressive remarks, and one or both people wind up walking away feeling like crap. Abuse, on the other hand, presents a real danger to one or both parties physically, emotionally, and or mentally. Abusive relationships are toxic, but not all toxic relationships are abusive. So why do you want to write one of these relationships? As a writer, it's your job to create as authentic a story as possible, unless you're going for a really weird and absurd story, in which case, you do you. As such, you're gonna need to analyze why you want to write a toxic and or abusive relationship, and do tons of research to make sure you represent it correctly. You'll need to know the cycle of abuse, gaslighting, and other phenomena associated with toxic and abusive relationships like the back of your hand. Now, when you're writing, it is vital that you know why you are adding any element, especially toxic and abusive relationships. Most would assume you're gonna try and show readers what these relationships look like, and help them either break free of those ties or learn what they look like as to avoid them. However, you can take this in another direction. Say a tragic character who is perpetually caught in a cycle of abuse and can't escape. Whatever the case, make sure you've done enough research and put in enough thought to know how to properly portray these hardships. You'll also want to look into how people escape and recover from abuse. Particularly, you'll want to see how different relationships can impact the abused. For example, romantic abuse isn't going to impact someone in the exact same way parental abuse is going to. And even when someone leaves an abusive relationship, they might have tendencies that could lead them into another abusive relationship, or they could be very self-deprecating, lack self-confidence, or maybe even suffer from symptoms of PTSD. The problem most people have with these kinds of relationships is that most authors tend to write these as really romantic and idealized relationships, which is tragic, to say the least. If you're writing a genuine romance, best be aware to stay away of these things, please. Dear God, please. So there you go, the basic shit you need to know to create a terrible, terrible relationship. If you'd like to see more writing tips, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell because YouTube hates creators. I'm hoping to publish my own novel this year, Diceneribus from the Ashes. So if you could check out the synopsis and first chapter in the description below, along with the Goodreads page, which is a work in progress, I'd really appreciate it. I've also started a Patreon, so if you'd like to become one of my children, the link is also in the description. By becoming a patron, not only would you be supporting me directly, as well as get my review notes and early videos, but higher tiers get you access to the private Asshole Parade Discord server, as well as the first 4 chapters of my novel. I'm the Unicorn of War, and like most abusive relationships, why am I saying most? All, has been a shit show.